the Online Safety Act that has recently been signed into law. And it's interesting here that The Guardian's talking about this. And, is it a license for censorship? I mean, yes, is the answer, right? I mean, there's been recent announcements from the European Union as to similar type stuff. And it's deeply concerning for anyone out there that's interested in freedom of speech, freedom of thought, freedom of action. And, why should the government be getting involved in this? What gives the government the right to teach me what I can and can't do online? Yeah, I mean, hot topic, right? So just to paraphrase some of the stuff that this journalist is talking through, but in just a few weeks since the the new laws come into play, some ridiculous stuff has been blocked by them. So Spotify playlists, Joe Biden's police funding plan, something to do with Minecraft, the game. Just how much resources is it going to require the government to police this stuff? Like, it's an extraordinarily large job. Will obviously cost them a huge amount. And what for? Like, what for? Now, ostensibly, this is for the children. Save the children. We must get involved in how they're spending time online. Otherwise, everyone's doomed. And in order to save one section of society, the whole society has to change. This is one of the things I think is so critical here. It's like, okay, so there's a minority, children. Let's tell everyone they have to change their behavior and jump into line in order to save this small subsection. Like, classic case of the greater good, right? We're not safe unless we save everyone. It's like, well, is that true? And what is going on? Side note, I did hear an absolutely shocking story that makes me as a father, and particularly a father of daughters, made my skin crawl. And there was a court case that was happening in New Zealand in relation to a rape of an underage child. And it was a 16-year-old boy or girl. At least this is what I remember. I'd have to double check the exact ages, but like very young kids. And what this kid had done to this little girl was absolutely horrendous. And they're like, how does this, what's happened here? And obviously on this teenager's laptop, they found a history book of pornography. This kid's been watching tons of porn, and in some ways, psychologically, it's normalized. That makes me feel really sick. Like, that's clearly in some ways evil. But like, who's to blame? Is it 99.9% of internet users? Or is it that kid's parents? Like, why are they not policing what he's doing on his laptop? How are they not paying more attention? Why was he even in that position in the first place? And I've obviously got tons of questions that I can't possibly answer, but it's real, right? The idea of a child sitting on a computer and researching things that are frankly sick, right? And that manifesting in a physical reality for some other younger victim. Like, horrible, horrible story. So I do not want to walk straight past this idea that, there is definitely a real threat out there. And especially as a father, that's the kind of shit that scares the shit out of me. But who's responsible for the child? Well, in my opinion, it's the parent, right? It's not the job of the government to come in and start policing everything for everyone. I think that's actually completely counterintuitive and unhelpful, and a classic case of government intervention, which will have negative externalities that perhaps they quite like, right? So I'm not going to go into the whole rest of this article, but the point is that this is happening in the UK as well as here in Australia. And funnily enough, in Australia, it's called the same thing, the Online Safety Act. I wonder if they had been buddies together and wrote up this policy.